Hey guys, welcome back and happy Tuesday. All right, guys. Well, like I said in our previous pre-records, we have a new episode of Hot Messy Podcast that dropped today with Kempire, and it's titled Keeping Up with the Kempire. If you guys want to watch the video version of that, you can head over at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Head over to Hot Messy Podcast exclusively on YouTube and catch that. Smash the like button, do all the things. Now, we're back to talk about the fact that Jen Shah's son wrote a letter to the judge pleading for his mom not to be put in prison or at least reduce her sentence. And he kind of started this out with, she is not perfect. Now, this is her son, Sharif Jr., and I just want to go through this letter with you guys and hear what your thoughts are. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button over here. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, get subscribed, and with that, let's jump right in.
It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
All right, guys. So again, there's a lot of news coming out right now because we're getting to the end of the holiday season and we're about to come into 2023. Now, we know 2023 holds a lot for us. We have the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Vanderpump Rules. The new season's coming out for that. I'm sure we'll get Real Housewives of Orange County since they've already wrapped. And they're starting to film the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. As for Salt Lake City, though, the future remains up in the air because we know that they just filmed the reunion this past week and Jen Shah was not in attendance. Now, I don't know if this is her technically, I don't know if this is a violation of your contract or not, only because originally they told her that she would not be invited to the reunion. And then all of a sudden they flipped the script and they were like, no, actually, we want you to come. She said, okay, I'll come, but I spoke to my attorneys and my attorneys don't want me to talk about any of the legal stuff because the sentencing date has yet to happen. I mean, it hasn't happened. So she doesn't know what if it gets pushed back and then the reunion airs and then the judge can go based off of whatever she's saying at the reunion and add that to however they're feeling about the sentencing. It makes sense. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah's son wrote an emotional letter to the judge presiding over her case, pleading for a soft prison sentence. And this came from Radar Online. According to court documents obtained by Radar, Jen Shah submitted various letters from her family members in hopes that it would convince the judge to not throw the book at her. The Bravo star pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and agreed to forfeit $6.5 million as part of a plea agreement, which was reached by prosecutors in July. Shah believes that she should only serve 3 years for her role in a scheme that targeted elderly people. However, her plea agreement states that she could be sentenced up to 14 years in prison. As RadarOnline.com first reported, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star's husband, Coach Shah, wrote a letter to the judge last week, and now her two sons, Sharif Jr. and Omar, have done the same. Sharif Jr. told the court, I am Jennifer Shah's eldest son. I am writing you. This is sad that he's writing this. I am writing to you with the hope that I may accurately describe my mother's character and provide an idea of who she truly is. I recognize that regardless of her recent mistakes, my mother has exemplified positive ideals throughout my entire life. I am happy to have learned from her and have gained an understanding that all individuals are flawed, and these flaws do not negate their positive aspects. Also, he's about to go into medical school. I think he already started in August. He's going into medical school. I believe it's at Duke. She revealed this, her and Coach Shah revealed this in our interview. I believe it's at Duke, and it's a really hard program to get into. And now he's away trying to study, and I'm sure this is weighing heavily on him, but he is writing the letter, and, you know, this is Jen's son. Of course, he's going to back her every way he can. From my earliest memories, I can recall that my mother was modeling the ideals of generosity and caring. Now, he defended his mom, claiming that she used her fame for good. My mother has developed a platform that she utilizes to support social justice movements, healthcare reform, and equality in multiple forms. She has volunteered to speak at panels on racial prejudice in our local community, and she has served as a spokeswoman for racial affinity groups across Utah. My mother has marched in support of political beliefs and empowers others to do the same. He continued on with this letter, and I couldn't even imagine just sitting there having to write this letter. I remember And I know that this is totally different. This is not like facing 14 years in prison or 3 years or whatever, whatever the case is, the sentencing that they're asking for. But I remember having a friend whose mom was about to go to prison for a DUI. And she wasn't going to prison, but she was going to jail for like 6 months because it was her second DUI. And she knew what she did was wrong. But I remember her son just sitting there and every night watching him, and it like completely broke him. And she would sit there and try to, not talk about it. And then they would watch something on the news. And it was at the same time that Paris Hilton had to check herself into jail. And I remember his mom crying, and then he started crying. And I was like, it's kind of wild how this impacts your family, and how your family, it's not just you going through it, right? There's you, the victims, your family, loved ones around you. Everyone goes through it with you, which some would say is not fair, but that's just, they're looking at their mom. While my mother has done and continues to do commendable things, she is not perfect. She is flawed and has made mistakes that have hurt numerous people and families. I'm aware that she has pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and I am inexplicably hurt and saddened for the families that have been impacted. While I understand that there must be a consequence for these actions, I am asking you to view my mother through a lens of forgiveness and compassion. I believe that my mother recognizes her wrongdoings and will be a better service to society if given a sentence of probation. Now, Omar's letter was sealed by the court, and we know that Jen Shah is scheduled to be sentenced on January 6th, but we don't know what that fully looks like. I also saw where a bunch of people were trying to either debunk or put out there that Jen might potentially be doing a one-on-one with Andy Cohen. And so many people have asked me this. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I haven't talked to Jen about doing a one-on-one with Andy Cohen. I could see where he would want to do that and probably put it as part of the reunion. But I'm glad they invited her to the reunion. And I also understand why she did not go to the reunion if they wanted to focus on the legal right before she actually has her sentencing date on January 6th. Because I don't know how this necessarily works. Like if they can subpoena that footage, if they can see if she has any remorse, if they, can kind of use that and see how is she acting now right before going in, because they could say this was literally less than a month ago and this is how you're acting on stage. I don't know if they can do any of that, but I would imagine that they could, because once they film it, it seems like it would be fair game. Like, okay, yes, we can subpoena whatever we want. But for her, I think that she made the right decision in not going. I just don't feel like now that she's not going, I'm watching the drama on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 3, and I see that it really surrounds Jen with Heather, Jen with Whitney, Jen with Lisa Barlow, Jen with Angie K, Jen with Dana. I mean, the only person that she doesn't have drama with, it seems like on this show, Jen with Angie Harrington, would be Meredith Marks. So I don't know how they're going to navigate the reunion, because I don't know what other real storylines that we actually have. If we're talking about Whitney and her past childhood, or if we're talking about Heather Gay and Whitney, which they can't speak too much on because we still have yet to get the Ultimate Girls Trip season 3 that filmed in Thailand. If they're talking about Lisa Barlow and Whitney's conversation that was used against, or Heather Gay and Whitney's conversation that was used against Lisa Barlow for allegedly hooking up with somebody for tickets to courtside, what do we have to actually talk about? That's the thing that kind of, I don't think that any one person is bigger than the show, but it does make me question, will we have a good reunion or will we have a lackluster reunion? I have questions, and I'm sure we all do. I want to hear what your thoughts are, though. I don't want to just give you this information and not ask what you think. So guys, go ahead and comment below. Let us know what you think about Jen Shah's son writing this letter to the court. How do you feel about it? And before you go, of course, don't forget to smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. A new podcast episode of Hot Messy Podcast is officially out, and that's anywhere you get your podcast. That's with Kempire. And then the video version is dropping today at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Hot Messy Podcast on YouTube. So do all the YouTube things on both channels. Let's grow that, and we'll see you so very soon. I love you guys. Bye.